everybody. Welcome back to Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we're excited to welcome back Natasha Burnett. Welcome back, Natasha.
Hello, it's so great to be back again.
Yes, always fun to talk with you. So thanks for coming to chat season 12 of One Calls the Heart. It's been a great season, and I think a really great season for Minnie.
It has, yes. It's been a really good season for Minnie. I think we've taken her into some new directions. We've gone to some new depths, new layers, and I think it's really opened up her character.
Yeah. I mean, we're so used to seeing Minnie be the strong character, and everybody's coming to Minnie for advice and for words of wisdom. I think she even talked about that. Was it this season or last season, about how, people are always coming to her because she's Joseph's wife. So it was really fun to see the rest of the town kind of supporting Minnie this year, especially with the Angela journey, with, Angela's growing independence. So how did you like playing that kind of long arc this season?
It was really nice to sort of have it, the story be told in the one season, and then inevitably the dynamics change throughout the episodes, and then you can really see Minnie's journey. And I mean, I know in other seasons, like season 9 with Mr. Landis and things like that, you saw her on other journeys, season 8 with Angela going to school. But I think this time, I think it was, for me to play, it was much deeper. Mm-hmm. And it was a really nice experience to have the opportunity to play her in this way and play all these different levels. She was confused to a certain point. She didn't know how to handle this at all, And so I just think it's really nice to see her in that stage for a change, instead of always having the knowledge and the wisdom. And this time in her scenario, it wasn't quite so easy to figure it out this time.
In the season finale, Angela is graduating, and it was wonderful to see Elizabeth and the town people see that Minnie needed some support too. That was fun to see them come together and bring that to her. How was that as playing that as the person receiving the support instead of giving the support?
It was really beautiful to play, but obviously a very beautiful moment for Minnie to experience. But I mean, yes, as you said, in the midst of the graduation, they still took the time to notice I was struggling, and still thought of something to do that was so time consuming and thoughtful, and they made time for it. And it's just, I think, a testament to what Hope Valley represents in such a beautiful way, and to give that attention and love and show that to Minnie. It was just a very nice moment, even to do this scene where I walked into the cafe and they were all standing there and I wasn't sure what was going on. And, a lot of it was quite real, also because I was, as an actor, putting myself into Minnie's position. But also, I think, just because of the emotional gravitas of what was going on in the moment. So it was, I wouldn't necessarily say it was easy to get there, but in the sense like, it was so easy, But I would say it was easy to get there simply because the scenario was, it just felt so real.
As someone who sent 3 kids off to college, this is a storyline that so many people can actually relate to. They've been there, done that, and it's a journey. As everyone talks about their little kids first, but there's a new trend on TikTok, and it just kills me because that I've done that, been there, done that. It's their last, and as the yeah, Angela says to Minnie and Joseph, "It's my last school project."
Yeah, right. She's like, "Oh,
wow, yeah. Oh my goodness, I have 2 nephews, and one of them is coming up to 8 now, but the we used to look after him every Wednesday when my sister was at work and he wasn't in nursery. So my mum and I had him. And oh my gosh, just yesterday we were talking about the fact that, oh, remember that time we were in the park and he was like 1.5, and this puppy came over and he got a little bit scared, a little toddler, he got a little bit scared because he was quite shy as a little baby. And, you know, and now we're just there going, oh, so he did this science project where he was making a nightlight and he created this. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah. It's wild to watch these babies actually become like these grown people. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's he's so different now. It's just, yeah. And that's why, you know, that's why so many people can relate, even if they are not your own children. Just seeing children grow up, and it's just heart melting.
I think that's what made Minnie's storyline so relatable. I just think so many parents can just see this coming for them or have walked through those steps and they know the emotions. And I just think it's important that those stories be told too.
Yes, yeah, because it's I mean, I suppose because on the show the Camfields came as a family,
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, it makes the story just one that they couldn't have told otherwise, because there were no full-fledged families that were on the show. So it gives such a great opportunity that the writers took to be able to tell a story like that they couldn't have told otherwise with any of the other couples. And then you just get the sense that because they came as a family, you get that they're close-knit. Mm-hmm. And so you follow them on the whole journey from season 8. And so by the time you get to this point, you feel what Minnie's feeling to a certain degree.
Right. I mean, we watched her be afraid to send Angela to school,
yes,
which is just this little schoolhouse, to now having to navigate that Angela wants this independence to go off, you know, very far away for school. So it was really beautiful to watch Minnie, who's so composed all the time, actually have that breakdown in the cafe, because maybe it's just all coming out in the love she's feeling from her friends. So how do you get to that moment of being able to kind of break down like that?
You know, I wish I had a really smart, interesting answer. I really do. I actually don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I get there. I just feel like I'm just in the moment. When I'm in that moment and I know what's happening. Actually, when I saw it, I didn't realize that it looked like that. It felt like that because I really did just break down. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing was that, okay, with a lot of these things, we had to actually, when I took the quilt and I stepped back with it, we had to actually do that a couple times, just for marks, because of the way the camera was set up. And I didn't lose the moment, but then Peter's really good. Like, you know, everyone was so quiet and they just said, you know, okay, so just give the quilt back, just take a step back and we'll just do that bit again. And so I had to pull back the emotion just a little bit and then go back into where I was. But I honestly, I have no good, solid answer for that question. I just feel like I'm in the moment, and I stay there, and everything that was happening was really, and every time I turned around, and Johanna and Loretta, they had tears in their eyes because I had tears in my eyes, and then I'm looking at Amanda and Ben. Erin, unfortunately, her angle, my back was to her, so she couldn't see some of when I was doing that part of the scene. But, you know, Ben and Amanda were in front of me and I could see them, and it was just it all got too much.
But you know, it plays on screen like we're all right there. It's like Yeah, I mean, like I said, Sarah's like texting me, oh, Mom, Minnie. And so, you have to love those, how that plays out. Like it just takes us on her emotional journey. But it kind of started with the actual visit to the Schwartzman school, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's like a no, not a firm no, she's going, right? But
Yeah.
Minnie starts out at Schwartzman, maybe not feeling it, huh?
Yeah, I think just as a continuation from how she felt when the brochure was sent off without her knowing. And I think she definitely had some barriers up before she even got there. And then, of course, panicking before they even leave. Yeah, you got your scarf. Do you have this? Shall we go and get that? Well, where is it? I thought I left it there. I think she was trying to find reasons for this not to be a suitable idea for Angela. And of course, as you said, when we got to the school, she's just like, what's going on? Where is she? Where is she? So it was just one of those, I think it was nice to see her change, like her whole demeanor change. When she starts, or when Angela and Clementine are talking, and then she says the line, "The blind leading the blind," and then they go off and and then they walk into the read aloud, and I think she sees it completely differently at that point and realizes that perhaps her guard was up and she needs to now let it down.
Yeah, I think that was very well done, because as when you have a child that has extra circumstances, like extra needs, and you're so used to having to make sure everything is okay for them to be successful, it's hard to imagine letting go and watching them be successful on their own. So I think Minnie seeing that for Angela, it was a very natural turn of opening her eyes, like, okay, she can do this, and like,
Yes.
I don't have to be as worried, and look at the bright future ahead of her. So
right.
yeah.
And being accepted, I think that was always a big concern for her. Being accepted again, being accepted somewhere else. And just the way, I think, the reception that she got and how she just was able to go sit in and join, and everyone was so happy to meet her. I think that definitely warmed Minnie's heart and just allowed her to just open it up to the situation as is and not what she thinks it might be.
Right.
I kind of loved how Minnie and Joseph misinterpret Clementine as maybe staff or a leader there. It just makes them see where you can see them seeing where Angela might be in a couple of years by going to this school.
Yes, just the opportunities that could be for her. Again, that I think Minnie never thought would be possible for so many reasons.
Right.
So, and I mean, of course, it is such a big step for her to be so far away from home. So that was always still going to be a struggle for her anyway. But I think she's definitely open to seeing Angela fly.
Yeah, that was also, I loved how the writers wove Angela's point of view throughout the season as well, where she's feeling like a little bit like, well, I love it here. I feel so at home. I love these people, but I also feel misplaced. Like nobody here understands me and how it is to be me. I thought that was really, really beautifully done as well. And we got to see some conversations with Joseph about it. And then that in turn kind of, I think, gives Joseph that leg to kind of push Minnie a little bit into exploring this option more, like ordering the brochure and helping her to kind of see like the possibility of like, let's go explore.
Yeah. I think that being able to weave it in, as you said, was was done so well, because I sometimes think, being the parent, Minnie and Joseph end up being the ones sort of dictating as parents, and giving their advice on what should be done. But I think it was very nice that we could hear Angela's point of view, and like the moment with Joseph and Angela as well. And then you just hear it in different moments. And so it ends up being a real complete story.
Right.
Because I think, even, for example, the Mr. Landis, or when they first arrived in season 8, that was mostly from Minnie's perspective, you know. In fact, it was really all from Minnie's perspective,
Right.
where she was and how she was feeling. Whereas this one now incorporates Angela's opinions and shows her growing up as well, and that her opinions are important as well. And then you do see Minnie sort of, when she falters, and then you sort of think, okay, so Minnie is just human, and she doesn't know everything. And she's realizing this.
I think it's a celebration of families, and that families, when you're a family that's a high functioning family, everything isn't perfect. It's that you walk along each other as you're figuring everything out, right?
Yes.
It's not perfect, and in fact makes beautiful dramatic storytelling, but it's how you walk alongside each other as you're finding your way through that journey.
Yes. Yeah. It's and that's why I loved the contrast was there with Minnie, where, you know, in 11 and 12, she's able to give wise words. She, as people love her doing.
Yes.
But also, when we see her break down, it's really her journey, what's going on inside for her. And so when she's not giving those wise words, what really goes on for Minnie? What really happens for her? How does she feel? How does she deal with these situations internally? Because really, we've never seen her do that before.
No.
I agree. It was really nice to kind of be on that journey and not just get a part of it, but we felt like we really were able to walk in Minnie's shoes. And feel what she's feeling. Do you have a favorite scene or a favorite moment from that particular storyline?
To be fair, I did actually very much like the presentation of the blanket. I did like that scene.
Yeah.
It was very cathartic for Minnie and for me, because I think, you know, just being in control so much, just being able to play that and being able to go there, it was a really nice feeling for me as an actor. I did like the switch in episode 9 when she talks to Angela at the end, when she's trying to open the tea and it all falls. To have that little heart to heart with her. I think that was really nice, and I don't think Angela and I really have many talks like that.
Right.
And that was something that, because we obviously discuss a lot at the beginning of the season, and that was something that I had touched on at one point, and that, you know, we had all sort of thought would be a nice idea, because I just thought, oh gosh, I never have scenes just with Angela having a heart-to-heart where I'm talking about something that is personal to us that we used to do, as opposed to saying, oh, you know, I don't think you should do that, or, you know, I don't want you going there, or, you know, I realized we'd never had a mother-daughter moment. And that's why I loved that one so much to play.
Yeah. It was a very special moment, I think, even for the viewers to watch that. And you're right. We've never seen that before. Yeah. That was special.
Yeah. Love that arc. A little bit outside of that, but includes kind of Minnie and Angela's full storyline coming from season 8, is that outside the infirmary, Rosemary and Minnie have a wonderful sit and talk about as they're watching Elizabeth go through it with a new diabetes diagnosis for Jack. And Rosemary looks at her, and just in this moment of realization that, oh my gosh, Minnie, you have actually been through this part of the journey. Just a beautiful connection. What did you think when you first saw that scene?
I loved Minnie's dialogue. I loved Minnie's dialogue. It was so universal, and for so many reasons. You know, when she said, "You look to the top of the mountain," don't look to the top of the mountain. I mean, so I loved when she was saying that, because it happens so much in real life for so many people, that they're looking so far ahead and they can't even see how they can get there. And it's, you know, you have to look right in front of you, take one step at a time, and work from that. I loved that she was able to share how she felt in her experience, because again, we only really heard what happened to Angela. I think it was at the end of season 8 with Carson. And since then, it's never really been discussed. I mean, I know Cooper had the issue, you know, why is she blind? Why did this have to happen? But again, that was Minnie trying to disperse and a heated, emotional feeling for Cooper. So this was actually a chance for her to share her feelings and how she really managed to get through that period in her life, which is nice, because a lot of people have asked about Minnie's backstory. And although this wasn't really her backstory per se, to actually hear her express how she had to try and do it and where it came from, I think was something.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways it's valid to say it's a huge part of her backstory, even if it's not the entire backstory, because when you go through something like that, it really does change you.
Yeah.
And it becomes your story. We also see Rosemary and Minnie packing lunches, where Minnie is reminding Rosemary that it's important to leave space for us to feel too. So, you know, slow down and feel. And I think it was beautiful to see Minnie notice that and give that advice, but also we got to see Minnie take that advice herself too this season. So I thought they just did a really wonderful job kind of bringing all these stories together.
They were well intertwined. I think and you know, the subtext, the undertones, and they all followed through one to the other. And for Minnie's storyline specifically, they overlapped so much throughout, you know, her part of the season where her story really developed. And it's I think they did a really good job of writing that to mean so much more than what was on the page.
Right. So speaking of interwoven storylines, I mean, we see Minnie talk with Elizabeth, and an emotional scene where she shares that only a mother of a child with extraordinary needs can really understand. This is something she really hasn't had in Hope Valley previously. She's been the one that's had to advocate for her child, and now she very much realizes Elizabeth is in the same place.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. That was a really beautiful scene. Another beautiful scene. Minnie's had some really good scenes, some amazing scenes.
I agree.
The writing has been so great, because when you're reading the script and then you get to, you know, I got to the one I had with Angela, and then I get to the one I had with Rosemary. Now I get to the one with Elizabeth, and I mean, out of the three, do I feel like it's my favorite? I do, because Elizabeth and Minnie haven't spent time together since season 8, and it was a very poignant moment for both of them.
You know, we are seeing Minnie kind of finish like her story. She has successfully raised a daughter who is gonna go and be amazing. And Elizabeth is at the beginning getting these diagnoses of diabetes. And I think it's a beautiful emotional scene, but it gives us the hope at the end, right?
Yes. I mean, I always remember this line because it was my favorite when I said it to her. When Elizabeth says, "Why?" and she says, "Why, God, have you given me your hardest burdens? Because you are his strongest soldier." And I loved being able to say that in a moment like that for Elizabeth. It just, so much of what Minnie had to say was so meaningful, and it just had so much depth to it. And again, you know, it was so close to Minnie's heart to say that as well, because it's a question she would have had to have asked so many times, but also to say, you're the strong one, so you can do it, and keep going, because you will get there like I got there, and look at where Angela is now.
Yeah, actually, that was my favorite part of that scene, was when Elizabeth says it's never over, or it never ends, or something like that. And Minnie just said, or, you know, it doesn't, but you start to realize you can do it, right? I'm totally forgetting the exact lines right now, but basically, like, you learn that you will get past it, and you just have to take one thing at a time. And I think that was really beautiful.
Yes.
Much nicer than I can say it right now.
But you know, this series has been from season 1 has really been about women stepping up under circumstances that are hard and finding their way out of it, because it started with essentially all the town's women being widows.
Yes, exactly.
And single parents, right? And that's how it started. And then they found their way out. And then Minnie came in, and still in the midst of figuring out things for her family and Angela. And now we see Elizabeth having this piece with Jack. And it feels like a continuation. It connects those early seasons into these current seasons.
Right. Yeah. Because, you know, you don't often find a way to like bring it back to where it's all started, because often you're going through the seasons, and we're so many seasons now, but trying to find the stories that aren't repetitive, that something different, that brings a similar message but in a different presentation, and all of those things. And so I think it's so nice that they were able to connect the early seasons with now what we have, and yet not make it repetitive, but still have the same message.
Right. And we get to really I think as fans of the show, we really love those emotional storylines, the depth that they bring to the characters and to the storytelling. So it's been really enjoyable to watch, although sometimes it makes you cry. Still beautiful to watch. That scene with Minnie and Elizabeth almost closes out the season. So what can you tell us about that? Kind of having such filming that, knowing that it was so impactful in the moment and for the entire season, really.
That was just, I'm trying to think of a good word to use because it was that sort of special to be able to be at that stage of Elizabeth's journey before they go, and to have a really important role in that, and how my words will affect her as she moves forward.
Right.
It was, for me as an actor, to be able to play into that. It honestly was an amazing moment. I was really honored to be part of those final few scenes, and for my role in it to be quite, significant to where it goes next.
I think it was so important to Minnie has shown through their actions when they showed up in Hope Valley that they're doing the right things for their family at that moment. And Elizabeth doesn't know at that moment that she's going to need to follow those words of advice, though. So dearly, like, you're going to have to go to.
It's, I mean, those last 3 minutes in general are very hard hitting, and there's a lot going on. And obviously for the viewers, it was, what's going to happen now? And, so, and I mean, I just before that, when she goes to wake up little Jack, I just thought, when I watched it from there, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is really building into something. And then of course, it's, when you read it, it's one thing. And then when you see how it's edited and it's cut, and how it all came together from then, and then realizing that, okay, I was interwoven into those last few moments. I'm really glad I could be there. I was really happy to be part of that.
I love the juxtapositions of their journeys and how Elizabeth has someone to be a light to her in those moments as she's making those early decisions.
Right. I mean, nobody else in town can really put themselves in Elizabeth's shoes. And although different diagnosis, it's still the same thing when you're watching your child suffer and need help. Like, you have to make those hard decisions.
I mean, it was, Elizabeth always has wise words. I mean, that's what her character does best as well. I do actually love Minnie and Elizabeth's relationship. It's on a certain level because of their experiences and how they had to come together in season 8. And they had some really nice conversations, even when Minnie was trying to explain, you don't quite understand what it actually means to be in this position. I just think they learn a lot from each other, which is why I was so happy that they got to do a scene like that together. Because I think they do learn a lot from each other for so many different reasons.
And they both have positions in the community where they are there to support the community. And that plays into it too. As a pastor's wife and as the school teacher, they are interwoven into other people's lives. For them to walk beside each other has been a beautiful story too.
That's been, really, I mean, I feel like I'm on repeat this season. No, this season really has been something. It just has really opened up everything for the Camfields, for Minnie, I feel like it's just changed the whole dynamic. I mean, everybody felt a certain way about them initially. The fans did, and the town did, and everything. But it's just so nice at this point to see it almost all come together, I want to say.
I feel like it's come together and also opened up the box. Like, it's like a new set and a new foundation with which to spring stories off.
There's a whole new world for them almost. You can now sort of go anywhere. And so I feel like Minnie could just we could find other layers to Minnie, because now we've really explored this one, which needed to be done.
Yep.
Yes.
And And so now it's like, what other sides of her personality do we have? Who is Minnie? What is she like outside of all of this?
Because we don't often get glimpses into that. So lots of fun. And how do you think, with the storyline with Angela going off to school, how is that, if we get future seasons, how is that going to change the dynamic for the Canfields? What do you think about that?
I think it definitely means that, Cooper loves his time with Toby, so he's just doing his own thing. Joseph, for him, I think he'll continue doing what he does. He has those lovely scenes with Gowan. He has lovely moments.
Lovely.
So I think this is one where the biggest change that the Hearties will see is probably with Minnie, because she now is walking a different road. And so I think it would be really nice to see her walking in a path that's completely unknown and out there and different from what the Hearties may have been expecting. You know what? I should ask them what they think Minnie should be doing. Right?
I know, leave a comment. What do you think Minnie should do with all this freedom?
Right. But Minnie also had some more fun things that happened this scene, including being part of the importance of being earnest. What did you think when you first got to see Minnie got to be part of the Minnie play in the show?
Well, actually, I first heard about it because I was in the hair and makeup trailer, and Erin said, we'll be doing a play and we'll be speaking British. And I was just like, are you kidding? You're kidding.
Can you pull off that accent?
Start practicing.
Right? I need to go. Do I have that time to get it right? I couldn't believe that it was ended up being written in the end. I was like, this is going to be so fun. It definitely was a moment where I thought I have to figure out how Minnie sounds, because she can't sound like me. And we are in the 1920s, so how should she sound? I have no idea. She probably sounds exactly like me. I mean, maybe I thought I was good at accents and thought I was doing a different one, and it just sounds exactly like me.
How did you try to make her different? Like what?
It was just, I just thought, okay, Minnie has such a particular demeanor.
Yeah.
But I was like, her British accent has to match her, everything about her.
Right. She has a very particular cadence, really, when she's talking, right?
She does. Yeah. So I think it was trying to transfer that as best I could. But I mean, I suppose I thought, well, and actually Viv said this to me. He said, well, if you think about it, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're not supposed to be British. I was like, that's true. But now, isn't it more difficult for me to do a bad British/American accent than it is? No, I feel like that's more work.
Right. But I think that because it was a play and you're delivering play lines, that has a cadence to it too.
Yeah.
And so I think that actually really, really helped. And the importance of being earnest, being a late 1800s play, has, lines are stylized that way. I think it came off wonderful.
Yeah, it was, it definitely was so much fun. It's such a fun time on set. We were just having just a whale of a time doing it. It was and Rothgar. I mean, Rothgar stole the show. Of course. Yeah, that bit was the best because, of course, we could only see it when we watched it back because he was behind us. But we were just like, really?
You're kissing.
Yeah, he definitely needed his moments for that because they were really good.
That was fun. What and you mentioned having a really fun time filming it. Do you have any memories from behind the scenes that you can share about that?
Gosh, I feel like that day was spent with so much laughter and silliness and photos, because it was just, and just messing around because we were dressed that way. It was just a fun day, completely just whatever we wanted to do, really, because it worked, right? For the play and how we were going to play it. So we could exaggerate things and do things we probably never really would have done. And, it just makes for a really light, fun day.
Speaking of things you would have never really done, the women were cast in the men's part because they all got the cold.
Yes.
So your costume, tell us a little bit about that.
That was the best part, I think. That was the best part for me. When I went in to do the fitting, and they wanted it to sort of be, well, now this has to kind of look like maybe you were wearing one of Joseph's suits and stuff. And once the hair, the Minnie's hair, and then I was like, actually, this is a whole vibe.
It's a total vibe. Yeah.
It's a total vibe. It's
not
super
for a fun
cool.
play. This is a whole vibe. I loved it. It looked great. I know even the women in their big hats, and it was all very spectacular.
No, it gave such a fun vibe. Minnie, like, you looked amazing. Pascal, Rosemary, also with the cool, like, suit vibe. Like,
cool
the hats were big, and it gave a really fun performance, right?
Yes, yeah. It had to be done in costume. I mean, I know it was on the radio, but
no, but
the purpose of the Hearties, that was the best part.
So fun to do something or to see something that's never been done before on the show.
Yes.
It was perfect. We loved it. Okay, so we have to talk a little bit about Cooper and Minnie, because they had a really lovely scene too, when Cooper was struggling with the fact that he was supposed to be watching Jack while they were playing baseball, and then he, collapsed in the bushes. So was that nice to play with Elias? I mean, he's grown so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, Cooper.
And as an actor.
It was really nice to have that scene, because again, I don't have many, heart-to-heart scenes with them, and just trying to explain that to him, and it was a really cute moment. And I realized after the fact that people loved it quite a lot, so that was really nice. Because I pick, I guess, my favorite ones, but to be honest, there has been really, Minnie's had quite a few little moments, even if they're not long speeches or conversations. They've just been really poignant moments she's had.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was a beautiful scene with them about, there's a couple of times where it hits. It's not little Jack's diagnosis, and what happens to is not anybody's fault. And multiple different people are feeling at fault. And at this point, Cooper's really struggling with it. And just that conversation as a parent to a child, sometimes it's like, no, you have to take responsibility for your actions. And sometimes it's like, you can't. I mean, that was kind of a special moment between them.
Yes, because I think she really realized that he was really hurting in that moment, truly feeling like it had something to do with him. And I think just before I said my line, that there was this moment where I had to think about how do I say this correctly, to kind of ease his concerns and let him know that, this isn't to do with you, but if you have an idea for something, this could be this could be really good, you know, finding a way through it, finding something else to you know, bring some joy to this very dark situation.
Right. And, the boys did exactly everything right. They looked for him
Yes.
quickly, and then they went and got help. And that's all the right things, right? So,
Yes.
sometimes you just can't change what happened. And
No, but you feel guilty. You feel guilty
Mhm.
anyway. Like you shouldn't have taken them in the first place or something, you know, and it's just, you know. So yeah, it was nice that Minnie could be there to speak to him and calm him down, and the outcome was the baseball game.
It
So
was also very fun.
yeah,
So
that's great. I mean, it was shot separately, so but when you watch it together, it was so fun, right? But when they had to do like our reactions when we hear the shots and stuff, it had to just be like obviously Joseph and I in the cafe, and then they'd tell us, okay, this is sad. Oh yeah, just react to it. But it came together really nicely. I really liked how it came together on screen.
yeah, you're getting everybody's reactions in multiple different places, because
Yeah.
in the mercantile they're reacting to. They have their little group there, and then they're reacting at the row house to Nathan, Elizabeth, and little Jack, and then the giant reactions in the saloon. It's a lot.
Popcorn.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even know they did that. That's so fun.
Right? It's a lot of separate things shot, and together it told a wonderful story.
Yes, yeah, it was cut together beautifully in these little moments. Yeah, it was just fun. Again, I feel like it was something else that, I mean, since I've been on the show, I haven't seen them do anything like that. Very playful and just fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think that little bit of levity in the middle of a really hard episode was perfect.
Yes.
Was there anything about this season that surprised you? So maybe fan reactions to something, or when maybe something that you filmed but then saw it on screen and it surprised you?
Maybe I don't surprised. It was maybe a little surprised. I mean, we knew that the Schwartzman School story would do what it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was actually really nice to see the comments from the Hearties and how many of them appreciated it. Because, I mean, when you're doing it, sometimes you think the story is so important or the message is so important. And then you realize, obviously, after the fact, and you're watching the episodes, that there were other things in the episode that were also just as important, or sometimes more important than what you're doing. So it was really nice to see everybody talk about that particular story, because we wanted it to land and we hoped it would land, and we hoped we would hear from those that have been in that position, have experienced that, because I think sometimes I was wondering if Minnie was too harsh, and I didn't want people to feel like it was too much. Because when I was playing it, it felt right for her to react that way. But I think when I first saw it, I just thought, oh, people are going to think that she is maybe being a bit too much. So it was actually very nice to know that they didn't feel that way, and they completely understood where Minnie was coming from.
Minnie's really been embraced by the fans. I think a lot of moms can really relate to her. So what's it like getting positive feedback, not just over Schwartzman, but all these like storylines from season 8 right up to that connection with Elizabeth at the end?
It has been and it's been such a brilliant experience, because you never know how someone or how the fans are going to react to your character. And especially, I think, for Minnie, because in the beginning, I mean, she's always been seen as really strong and really wise, and she has a lot to say. She's quite opinionated and she's quite sure of herself. But she does it in a certain way because she's got her personality type, and she's got, someone explained it, she's soft but firm. All at the same time.
Strength and kindness.
Yes. And you know, when I create a character of Minnie, you never, in your head, you know what you think you want to do. Whether that plays out on screen or not is often a different story. But it did read in the way I wanted it to. And luckily for me, the Hearties, they adopted that and they really appreciated it. So I love when they take note and comment on the things that Minnie is saying, or how she approaches a situation or deals with a situation, because then I often get messages where people will comment on what might have happened to them and given their experience, which reminds them of their experience, what Minnie has done. And it's nice that her character has influenced a lot of the Hearties. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's beautiful to watch the support out there, and how much this show touches people for so many different reasons. Earlier you mentioned kind of with Angela leaving that you'd love to we explore Minnie a little bit more. Is there a particular story that you would love, like what's your wish for them to play with Minnie? Like
okay, on a more serious note, I'd probably say it would be nice to see what Minnie was doing before she got married, before she had children, and just to see, like, what was she studying, or what was her plan for life. On a more fun note, it would be funny to see her do something random, like ride a horse, or just get active in something.
Right.
That would be, you know, like try a baseball game or something you just cannot imagine Minnie doing. It has to be done in Minnie way.
Yeah. She's playing catch with Cooper because she grew up with 5 brothers. Or
I feel like that would be so fun to see.
She's randomly fishing for fish for the cafe because she grew up with 5, you know, like
something just very unusual for what people would be expecting.
I think that would be so fun, and then to learn about her past. Like we saw Joseph's brother come to town. It would be really fun to kind of see something from Minnie's past, however that comes about. But I agree.
Because we only know from the cafe that her housekeeper Ruthie, we only kind of know that. And so, the cafe feeds into that. But outside of that, we don't really know who she is, or the choir. She used to do the choir. That was another thing. Joseph and Minnie, it would be so nice if they sang together.
They need to sing together. Doesn't need to be in a choir or they just need to be singing something at home together, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of us could be singing and the other one comes in and joins, because based on the storyline with Jacob, we were in the same choir. So it would absolutely make sense.
To have Angela playing a little piano and one start singing, the other join in their house would be...
Oh, that'd be very, very sweet.
That would be lovely.
Right. If we ever get to see them in their house again.
Yeah, right.
Got on that.
Home.
Natasha, do you have any upcoming projects that we can watch for?
Well, if you are into horror, feel free, or if you're not, even just go and listen just go to listen. Coming out in IMAX on May 16th is Final Destination Bloodlines.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Love that in IMAX. So let's see that. Let's go.
It's going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited about that one. So
How much fun is it to do something completely
So
different?
different. Yeah.
it is it's like a whole new world. You remember that, oh wow, like this is how other things go, and this is how other things are done. And just because you're so used to your like routine on the show, and it was so fun to film. And actually we had a day where we had a different DOP, and it was actually the DOP from When Calls.
Oh,
Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here. And he was having so much fun because of the way it's shot, because it's a bigger budget. The equipment is different, and it was just so fun for him to use the equipment, and it was great. It was such a great thing to shoot.
And so different than One Calls the Heart. Yeah.
Oh, horror. I've never done horror, and I've wanted to because it's just fun.
Right. Would you do it again?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I could absolutely see for something that you always want to do, something a little different in your career. It's fun to get to grow that way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, you always appreciate things like when you're in a series, because I mean, so many people, that's what they start their career to be doing.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you absolutely get used to the character that you play. So to just go out there and do something completely different, it's always nice to be able to do that and then still come back and do your show.
What can you tell us a little bit about your character in Final Destination?
That's a good question, because I've been pondering that for a while. Like, if somebody asked me this question, should I say? Because I feel like it gives away something.
Gives away too much.
All right, then we will be we'll be watching in May for Final Destination. What day does it come out? May
16th.
Okay. That's gonna come fast.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, all I can say, I sing in it.
Oh,
I can say that. I sing.
Okay.
That's fun.
Super fun.
So that's
because a horror movie and singing, that's like
Gosh, I remember going to the theater to see the first one, and it haunted me forever.
Oh, okay, great. So this will haunt you for the rest of the other half of your life. Great.
Too funny. So Minnie has had a wonderful season. Minnie has had a wonderful season this year. We've really enjoyed the way you've portrayed her and the stories we've gotten to watch unfold. And we're hoping we get to see her again in the future. But would you play a little favorites game with us?
Yes.
Okay. So what are you watching these days? Do you have a favorite series?
I actually just started watching How to Get Away with Murder again.
Oh, yeah.
It's been so long, because I think I watched it when it originally aired. And then I just wanted to watch the first episode again to see if it still stood the test of time. Because sometimes you watch something after 10 years and you're like, oh, that wasn't as good as I thought it was. And I watched it again. I was like, oh, no, this is still good. So I've started getting back into that. And I'm also watching, I'm so behind with this, but Downton Abbey.
Oh,
How can I not watch Downton Abbey? I'm like, I'm sorry.
What season are you in?
3.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3, episode 9. They've just gone to Scotland for, I forget what they went for, but they just went up to Scotland as a family. I think it's the last episode in season 3. But yeah, I do like a bit of Downton Abbey.
Yeah. All those PBS Masterpiece Theater shows are all so spectacular. They're wonderful. Do you have a favorite movie? A movie maybe that you watch repeatedly?
Oh gosh, what will I always put on? Oh, that's been changing recently. It's been changing recently because I've been trying to watch new things.
Okay.
So I've just been trying to branch out. And I actually watched Conclave, by the way, which
I don't know that one.
I thought was really good. I recently got into Pretty Woman. I hadn't watched it.
Oh, really?
Wait, so you had never watched Pretty Women? Okay.
That's right. Oh, okay. So the film I would love to watch all the time, Death Becomes Her.
Oh,
Anytime that's on, I can watch it.
yeah.
That's a great one. I have not seen that in.
Okay, good recommendation then.
So what do you do when you're not working? Do you have a favorite hobby?
Really, I spend a lot of time singing just because I just love to do that. And if I'm doing nothing else, it's usually that I have to have a speaker in the shower and like I just everywhere. Music has to be everywhere.
Reminds me of my daughter.
Like in a household like that. Super fun. So then the next question is, what are you listening to, or do you have a favorite artist? Do you have a favorite song?
What is on repeat right now? I watched Moana 2 with my nephews when I was in the UK, and they were obsessed with Maui's Can I Get a Chihu song, and I quite like that.
Yeah.
And the song Moana sings, which is Beyond, I quite like that too. So every so often, it's like, oh, I might just listen to this.
Yeah, I have to say,
catchy. Yeah.
Disney music, it's always just so good, right?
Yeah, just easy listening, right? Just fun and
right.
Natasha, what do you like to sing?
Jazz. I usually love to sing jazz. That's my go-to. I love that. Anytime I get to do that, I love it.
Is there a song in particular that you like to sing?
Recently it's been My Baby Just Cares for Me.
Yeah.
I like Natalie Cole.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this.
She's just so spectacular.
Yes.
Would you do you ever want to put out an album?
I would. I do have songs that have been released.
Okay.
But not in the genre I originally would have wanted to sing.
Okay, what genre?
House music and garage. Just not. I totally got into it by accident. I agreed to do a song, and years ago, I agreed to do a song, and the producer really liked it and said, "Oh, so let's just do more singles then, because this is doing really well." And so I just ended up over the years just doing this house music. Yeah.
Okay,
that's my story.
I feel like we need to start Googling that now.
Yep. I'm gonna go search Natasha Burnett.
That's fun. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for coming on. And we hope that we get to talk to you again soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I loved talking about this season and this episode.
We loved hearing about your journey with Minnie this season. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.